I keep thinking about, I want these to be something maybe my kids watch down the road, maybe when they're older, and they get a sense of who I was or some thought process, or um, it connects with them in a certain way. Uh, Man, this isn't. I didn't even think about even talking about this, but my dad died in October, and that's coming up here, the 1 year of his death, and um, I keep thinking more often than not, it would have been nice. I wish I had a journal of when he was my age, if he was going through some of the same things I'm going through, and I could look at those. Or now we have this video technology, and I keep thinking, I just wonder if I don't feel like I'm doing this to try and get back some of that from my dad or my mom, but I I hope I hope that maybe if my kids are in a rough spot and I'm not around anymore, that they can maybe watch these and kind of see that they weren't alone. And so I originally had this video idea, or this podcast idea, or whatever we want to call this thing, and I've been meditating on it all week, is that I wanted to talk about the hard things, right? And that it's okay to talk about hard things. And then the more I kept meditating on it, I realized that's not what this is about at all. Like what I really want to talk about is how important it is to feel seen and heard. And I don't remember where I heard that the first time. I don't remember if it was in a mental health hospital, or if it was researching depression and anxiety, or if it was researching mental health, or if it was some kind of combination of all of that, or if I've just heard it so many times now because it's so important that just humans, as humans, we all just want to be seen and heard. And we don't want people to see and hear like the character we make, right? This fake version of us, this how's the weather, version, or the script we play when we meet a stranger, and you just kind of have it play. You say the same thing to everybody. I'm, I'm sure I'm sure a lot of you do that. Like, hey, how's the kids doing? Oh, they're doing great. You say the exact same thing all the time, and it's something I'm very conscious about with, especially Amelia, because she's 2, and Luke 2 now. It's kind of strange. He's almost 4 months, but I want him to be heard. Like, and I know he's crying, but I want that to be heard and not ignored. And Amelia too. I want her to be authentically herself and to be seen and heard. And when I have looked at this in books and things like that, it's a very human, important need that we all have, and I don't think we all get it enough. And I know I would like it more. And I wrestle with this, like, did I not get it enough as a kid? And that's why it's hard for me to be vulnerable enough to do that. And man, I was thinking about this today, actually. Am I doing that with these? am I also creating a space where I can say anything I want? I can be maybe seen for who I am, and whoever's listening can hear what I have to say. And is it a way for me to feel safe? Because that's been the key, right? Safe, to feel safe enough to do that, to be seen. Because that's what ends up happening, right? I look at Amelia and I see a little kid who is 100% herself still. Like, there hasn't been anything yet that I can see where she stops and plays an act. She's a character of her to feel accepted. And I know I talked about this in the last video a bunch, but trading your authenticity for connection, which isn't real connection, right? She's still completely authentic. And I try to give that to her to the point where I sometimes I feel like I don't know. These are hard to make. Yesterday I was on day like 3 of trying to figure out how to record this and exactly trying to organize my thoughts into some kind of coherent, structure. And she comes into the room with Play-Doh. I have a whole clip of it. I'll just play the clip right now.
On that.
What'd you say?
And Mom play on that.
Did you just come into my room? This is why it's hard to work, right?
Oh, come on. Can you see? Mommy, help you. What's that?
It's your Play-Doh you brought in here.
Want to come?
Yeah, I do want to come. Should I put work on hold?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. But I did what I do a lot. I kind of gave up and I gave her my time. And because that's actually all I want to do. And we have this weird society, where you have to do this work to make money to be able to do this thing. And it feels kind of gross to me, where all I want to do is spend time with my kids and give them love and attention and let them feel seen and let them feel heard. And there's this other thing that takes it away. And then I'm like, I don't know. It's strange. It gets really weird. Or I'm like, do I just get a shack where we can make less money and it makes it easier? Or am I already kind of doing that? Like, I don't know. I don't know about that one. But I think about that a lot. But I'm rambling a bit. So back to this seen and heard thing. There's a story I think about a lot. I've told this when I give mental health talks sometimes. I don't give a lot of them lately, but and I think about this story all the time. I was in Florida. I just got done. I think I was there for 4 weeks at that point. 4 of 6 weeks. I just got done making a video. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh, it felt good. I pumped it up, and I got a phone call. I was like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't recognize the number, so I didn't answer it, and I just kind of let it go to voicemail, and then they called back, and I was like, it's 1 a.m. and they're calling twice. So I better pick this up. So I pick up the phone call, and there's a guy. He's in his car. I can hear him driving. He just goes, Shawn, I'm in a bad spot, man. I don't know what to do. You said I could call. You said if I didn't have anyone else to call, I could call you. And I'm so sorry I'm calling you. I know it's late, but I don't know what else to do. I just got in the car and started driving, and you said I could call you. He just kept saying, he said I could call you. You said I could call you. I don't know. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, I go, hey man. So what are you doing right now? He's like, I didn't know what to do, so I jumped in the car, and all I want to do is swerve it off the road. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to drive it into the trees. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And my adrenaline was going. I didn't know what to do. So I kind of took a pause, and I was like, all right. His name is Tim. I was like, hey Tim. So you're driving? He's like, yeah. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just driving. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I don't want to be here. And he just kept saying like he didn't want to hurt anybody, like he didn't want to crash his car. He just into anybody. And so I go, okay. Can you do something for me? He's like, yeah, that's why I called you. Just tell me what to do. What do I do? And I was like, can you pull over on the side of the road? He's like, yeah, I'll pull over on the side of the road. And he starts crying. And he's on the side of the road, and I can hear him. I was like, can you turn the car off, but turn all your lights on? And he turned all of his flashers on. And he just starts kind of crying. He's like, and he starts apologizing that he's calling me again, that he called me again. And I'm I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And he tells me this story of this situation where he's just, I don't know what I can say in these podcasts anymore because fucking Google and things, but he wanted to end it. He wanted to end it all. And there was a situation that's not really important. He was in a bad spot at that moment. And he was freaking out. And so I go, okay, all right. You trust me, man? And I told him about when I was in the mental health hospital and how it was fucking horrible. And I didn't want to be there either. Not the mental health hospital, just existence. I didn't want to be there. I was done. I wanted to check out. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about my thoughts, and I was thinking about how at the end of the mental health hospital everything felt different. And I thought about that, and I was like, okay, Tim, do you trust me right now? He's like, yeah, I do. I was like, okay, so here's what I want you to do. And I thought about when I was in the mental health hospital, some of the tools that they gave me, and one of the powerful ones was this one called a body scan. So I was like, all right, Tim, I want you to sit in the driver's seat. Your car's off, right? He's like, yeah, cars are off. I was like, and you're in a safe spot? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I want you to feel your big toe. I want you to wiggle it. I want you to wiggle your big toe, and I want you to see what it feels like in your shoes. On your right foot, I want you to wiggle that big toe. Now I want you to wiggle your other toes in that same foot. What do your socks feel like? What do your socks feel like in your shoes? Where are you pushing against your shoes? Are you pushing against the top? Then I had him do his left foot. And I said, I want you to feel your left toes pushing up against your shoes. I want to feel them in your socks. I want to feel when your toes are touching your other toes. And if you don't know what a brain or a body scan is, we kind of just worked our way up. So we did the toes, and then we did the feet, and then we pushed into the pedals, and then we did the calves, and I talked about, I want you to feel what your calves feel like. I want you to feel if they're warm. I want you to feel if they're cool. I want you to feel if your calves are touching the backs of the seat. And then we did the knees, and we did his pants, and we went all the way up it took about 10 to 15 minutes. And we did his whole entire body. We went all the way through his arms and his fingers up to the top of his head. We did his breath. We did his chest. We were taking big, slow, deep breaths and seeing how that felt. Even with the breaths, I was like, I want you to feel your chest expanding. But not just that. I want you to feel what it feels like when you feel air going into the rest of your limbs and your body. And again, 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, when we got done, I went, all right, Tim, how are you feeling, man? Do you feel at least a little bit better? And he goes, yeah, I feel a lot better, actually. I was like, okay. Do you feel okay to drive? He's like, yeah, I actually do. And so while we were doing that, I was looking up in the background the closest hospital that he could go to. And I told him how to get there, and it was about 15 minutes away. And he was like, oh, I've been there. That's actually where I go. That's part of, his family doctors. And they had an emergency, I forget what it's called, an emergency clinic open at night. So I talked to him the whole way. We were driving slowly. And he made it to the hospital. And he got in there. And he was thanking me, and he was thanking me, and he was thanking me, and he was thanking me. And he got in. And I was wrestling with telling this story because I don't want it to sound like I did anything. But what I kept thinking about, and why I share this at my mental health talks, is because when he said, I called you because you said I could call you if I didn't have anyone else to talk to, or if I didn't, I called you if I didn't have another, I called you because I didn't have another resource. Because at that time, when I was making videos, at the end of my vlogs, or whatever video I was making, I would say, mental health is hard if you don't know who to turn to. If you don't feel like you have any other options, let me be your option. And I will be honest, I don't think I knew what I was signing up for when I was saying that. Because when he called me, holy fucking shit dicks, man, that was heavy. That was a lot. And it felt like a lot of responsibility to have in my hands at that moment. And as time went by, as I think about that, and I think about Tim a lot, it still kind of blows me away because I have never met him before. He just saw these videos, and he felt comfortable enough in one of the most stressful, hard times of his life to call a stranger that he saw on the internet. And that is wild to me that happened. He didn't call family, he didn't call friends, he called some stranger on the internet. And we became very close friends after that. It was kind of wild. And I'm talking about this now because after last week's video I made, I didn't look at comments. I didn't look at anything for a long time because I didn't like it. I'm talking like I am now, and I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't feel comfortable just speaking. I want to structure it out in some kind of a story format and have it kind of peak at the end, and that's just the way my brain works. And there's this perfectionist side of me too. But the messages I was getting last week, I'm going to read just a few of them, but it's a lot of, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only parent who thought like this. Or someone said, I'm just trying to be the parent I wish I had. Another one was, I feel shame for giving attention to one of my kids when I can't give both of them the same. Or when one of them wants some attention, I can't give it to the other one. And I feel like a bad parent for that. Or it's just painful. And I can relate to that one a lot as well. I got a few from a couple guys, which was like, as a guy, I was taught to not show emotion. And when I didn't show emotion, or when he said he noticed when he kept it down, it would come out as rage and anger. And I can relate to that one too. That's why the water bottle was thrown last week. And I'll share one more. Someone said they quit their job to be a stay-at-home mom. And this could be a whole nother podcast conversation, as they were essentially breaking even if they were going to pay for daycare based on their salary that was coming in. So they were like, I'll just quit my job and stay at home. And she kept saying she feels like she's losing who she is. There's no time for herself, and she feels guilty for wanting time. And I feel like that too. But just like Tim, a lot of these were friends, or people I knew. Some of them I haven't talked to in years, and some of them are people kind of like Tim that I just met through, social media and the internet by putting videos out, and they see your content and they send private messages. But they started sharing these things. And I don't have all the answers to this, but it's kind of been an interesting thing that when I tap into the very core of how I feel, the real side of it, not the bullshit like, hey, I'm fine, everything's great. I'm just honest. Yeah, like things are hard. Things are really great sometimes too, but things are fucking hard sometimes. Like other people, maybe they feel seen because there's this part of them that maybe they feel alone. And then when someone's like, hey, I feel that way too, they're like, oh my God, I'm not alone. When I think about how powerful this is, this happened again like at the mental health hospital, which is, this sounds insane. I should do a whole talk. I've actually thought about this. Should I do, I've wanted to do a whole talk on my mental health history. I think I would, again, I keep wrestling with, will you guys find that important? And then there's a part of me like, I don't really give a fuck what you guys think is important. I think it would be important for my kids to see that down the road, so they know like, oh, this had a huge impact on who my dad is. this wild childhood through college that he had. And then there's this other part of me that's like, and it's hard for me to say this, like my drug use, which is roughly medication that has been prescribed to me, antidepressants, we'll call it drugs, I suppose. And then yeah, all everything I've ever tried to do, I tried pot for a little while, and mushrooms to help cure and fix a lot of this depression stuff too, because it all came from at the time there was a little bit of research starting with John Hopkins about psilocybin and helping with your mental health. And I know way too much about this, but don't talk about it very often. The weed thing was also the same way when they were trying to push it to not be banned anymore. There was a huge push about how it was helping with mental health issues. And so when you're kind of struggling, you'll try anything, right? And so I was like, hey, I'll give these a shot. But I think I think it'd be interesting to make a video on those. And again, only because it's real and it really happened, and it's a huge part of my story. So I don't know. Part of me wants to ask you if that would be something people would want to listen to or not, and then there's the other side of me that wants to go, I don't really care if you guys want to hear. I don't want to care. That's really probably more the answer. I just want to be able to not have armor up and just not have permission to be myself and say what I want to say, if that makes any sense. So anyways, at the end of those vlogs, when I was saying, if you don't have anyone to turn to, allow me to be that person. When I really think about that and I really kind of tap into the essence of that, it was because that's what I wanted. I wish I had that for myself when I needed help, and I could have been fully myself without saying something and anticipating a weird reaction to it. Like, imagine, here's a really simple one that's not insane. But if someone asks like, oh man, how do you like being a new parent? And you go, it is fucking hard. It's really hard right now. I am not sleeping at all and it is tough. You get a sense that the person who asked it wants to hear, it's the greatest thing in the world, and my life is full of love and warmth, and there's fucking puppies falling from the skies, and it's almost like you're taught at a young age to hide the hard stuff and only talk about the good, positive stuff. And I don't like that. It doesn't feel real. I feel like I connect more with people when you're able to talk about the real stuff. Like even small talk. I've wrestled with this for a long time. If you have small talk with somebody, they want to talk about the weather. I don't really give a shit about the weather. I don't give a shit about your sports team. I don't care what their win-loss stats are. But I've noticed that if I ask like, well, why the Twins? What's the greatest? What's an experience you've had with the Minnesota Twins that makes you like them so much? Do you have any memories with them? Like, what connects you to them? And there's been some cool ones where they're like, oh man, it was the first baseball game I went to with my dad, and I remember eating a hot dog. And you're like, oh, so now I can connect to that. I don't really care like how many home runs anyone has or what their score record, but I care about your emotional reaction with your dad. You know, like that's a big one for me. You know, like that's something I can grab onto. But again, it's feeling seen. Like that's who they really are. You know, they're not the baseball team. The man, that's an onion layer deeper. You know, and really hearing them. And so, like, because I've always wanted that, I'm not. Or again, maybe I didn't get it when I was younger. I just don't know how to get that all the time, and it's hard because you have to be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you can be judged, and when you're judged, it can hurt. And if you're judged, you don't feel like you're part of the tribe or really seen anymore, right? If you're like, hey, here's how I really feel about this situation. Here's how I feel about being a parent. And then somebody's like, ugh. And you're like, ugh. And then you put your armor back on, right? You're like, all right, fuck that. I'm not sharing that again. That hurt a lot. I got hit by a judgment arrow right to my fucking jugular. I'm done, you know? So it is get hard. Now I don't know how to teach my kids that. It's like I think that's what this whole talk is about. Is I don't know how to. Did I just get to the root of it? It's allowing your kids to be vulnerable, which means allowing them to be open enough to take a couple arrows. Because without being open, if you teach them to wear armor, they're never going to have the real connection with somebody or friends. It won't be authentic. They won't be really seen. And it will hurt. So am I just trying to have my kids avoid how I feel a lot of the time? Ugh. I don't like how that feels. This feels like I should talk to a therapist or something. That's a whole nother conversation. Should I talk about my history with therapists? Because those have, I would say 95% of them have been terrible, but man, those 5% have been so life-changing that it makes me not write it off completely, you know. But anyways, I think like I'll just talk about two more things here, and I'll get going because I appreciate anybody who is listening to this. But I think like step one for me has been allowing myself to be seen and heard by myself and being really honest about it, how I feel. Because there's been a lot of times where I'm like, hey, I feel this way, but then I ask somebody else, hey, is this okay? Including my wife. And sometimes I get the look from her too. And you're like, well, why am I even asking her how I feel about this? I need to really like, this is how I feel, and that's okay. And then explore that. And that's where like meditation has been really powerful. I feel like I should do another talk on just pure meditation, because with all the mental health things I've been through, that has been the one thing that has helped more than anything else. And I think a lot of people get confused about what it is or say they can't do it. And I thought that at first too. And that's a really powerful one. Essentially what we're doing with the body scan was meditation. It was bringing awareness to the body. And it helped Tim through that process. But yeah, just feeling safe. I think with that, I want others to feel seen and heard too. But it's hard to do that if you don't always have it yourself. So I'm constantly paying attention, bringing awareness to Amelia, to make sure I'm as a parent, maybe this is one of my parenting core values I have that I haven't labeled necessarily yet, but it's allowing her to just be authentically herself, to be seen and to be heard. And this is what's kind of scary, because I don't know what it's like to have that all of the time, where if you grow up that way, is it easier to take a couple more arrows and be like, I'm still safe. That hurt, but I can keep going. And this is the unknown territory, and there's a lot of unknown territories of being a parent, and this is definitely one of them. And I don't know the answer. I hope this is right. I hope I can help give her the space to be herself. I hope in doing so that if she ever does run into trouble, I'm a safe person she can come to, instead of feeling fear or shame of me criticizing or judging, or I can't believe you did that. Like I've heard a lot of other parents do, or I've gotten that from teachers and things in my past, and it doesn't feel good. It's like, oh, I was coming to you for a safe place, and it doesn't feel very safe here. Like allowing her to, I don't even want to call them mistakes, like hit some bumps in the road of life, and just know there are bumps, and see how she wants to tackle that, and see how she tackles that, and see if she falls off the bike of life a few times and can get back on, or can come to me if I can help in any way. I want to create that space, and I think if you can't give somebody the freedom to feel seen and heard, you're not going to go to that person for help. Or you're not just going to feel safe enough to share and be authentic around those people. I think that's just, at its simplest form, just allowing someone to be themselves and feel safe in your presence. And I guess in some ways, maybe that's what I allowed Tim to do, is he felt safe coming to me. I wasn't going to judge him, because I've also wanted to exit this existence as he did in that moment. So I wasn't going to judge him for it. I probably understood it more than most. Maybe because I shared a bunch of this stuff about how I don't feel like a good parent all the time. Other people who feel the same way felt safe enough to share that with me. Like, oh, he's not going to judge me. He gets it. Maybe that's a trick. Not that it's a trick, but maybe it's just maybe that's how you connect. Maybe it's an easier way to connect with people. And it just feels silly sometimes that I'm doing this through a video and a podcast, where, man, it would be nice to be able to do this faster in real life. And I'd want that for my kids too. And I think I'm going to end with this. What probably helped me the most was right when I got out of the mental health hospital. I was feeling pretty fucking good. Like, I think it was the first time I was told I didn't have to do. I'll do a whole podcast on this. I'm sure I will. But it was the first time I was like, I don't have to do all these things. I don't have to be so busy all the time. You can rest. You can bring time for yourself. One of the most eye-opening things was in there. I think it was day 2 or 3. I was there for 6 weeks as an outpatient in the outpatient program. And I saw all these other people in there, all different walks of life, all different ages. There was an 84-year-old lady in there. There was a businessman. There was parents. There was a 16-year-old kid in there. I was in there. I was getting my master's degree at the time. There was a doctor in there. There was somebody who was a construction worker. They're all walks of life. And I remember distinctly thinking after those first couple days, oh my God, this is the first time I have ever felt seen. Everybody was talking exactly like me. Their anxiety, their depression, their issues, the way they were looking at the world, not exactly like me, but the parts of me that I hide from everybody. Their darkness, as other people have called it. It's like, yeah, you see the world a little differently when you if you've gotten to a point of depression. And just by being in the presence of other people who allowed me to be heard, I felt better. I felt better in that group. I felt that better in a group of a bunch of people who outside of that group were like, these people are insane. They're crazy. All those words, where I don't even know what insane and crazy really is. But it was it's wild when I think about it. I wasn't judged for the first time for in at that point in 20, I think it was 26. So like in 20 years of me saying like I'm thinking this thing. I'm feeling this way. I look at things a little different than the rest of you. And people are like, "Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more." Instead of, "You were fucking insane," which I got a lot of in middle school and high school. And that was powerful for me. So when I came out of the mental health hospital, I was like, "Oh, everything I thought I knew was all bullshit." Question everything. So I started questioning everything. I started just being curious, a lot more curious. I was more open-minded about things. And when I got out, there was a thing on YouTube that I put on my iPod at the time. And I would listen to it while I was working out because I was still training for pole vaulting. And some of you may know this quote, and some of you may not, but it's from Marianne Williams. And I think it got popular in Coach Carter, but I think about this a lot, especially now that we're talking about this being seen and being heard, but I'm just going to read it. It's our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant or gorgeous, talented or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So imagine like playing that 20 times in a row while you're working out for 2 hours, And as I'm reading this now, it's like, oh, this whole thing is about that whole poem is about being seen and heard. It's allowing yourself to be seen. And when I got out of the hospital, it was like, yeah, the light. Being myself scared me more than the dark thoughts I had. It was like, well, what if I'm seen and people don't like it? What if I'm authentic and people don't like the real me? It was much safer to have the armor up. And people hate the armor. Like, yeah, it's not really who I am. And because I listen to that so much, that's why at the end of those vlogs, I said, if you don't have anyone to go to or a resource, let me be that resource for you. And I kept thinking, maybe if I show more authentically, more of my authentic self, it'll help others be more authentic and open and free and safe. And to the most part, it worked. And then there was the other side where I was doing this all online, and there's just mean people out there too. And so you catch a few of those, and I didn't do very well for a long time with really mean, hurtful comments. And that hurt, and it made me kind of curl back up into a ball for a while and not kind of show myself anymore. And so I wasn't letting my light shine. Yes, you could say. I was playing small, and I'll revert back to how I started this. I just don't want my kids to be there. I want them to have the awareness to be able to connect with people and be themselves. And it's something I'm still wrestling with. And I just don't know if this would be an easier process if when I was really young, I could have been 100% or closer of being more of myself. Being more seen and heard, I suppose. So, yeah, this is another hard video to make, and it kind of took a bunch of weird turns, but hey, I'm going to get going here. If you're still around, I appreciate you. Get a hold of me anytime. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Last week, I got a message from my sister-in-law, and that they listened to the podcast with their kids on the way to school. And so right now I'm going to say, hi, Aspen, and hi, Arlo. You guys, I don't know if you're listening to this again. There's some heavy stuff in here, so I don't know if you should be. But hi, I hear you. Yeah, I'll give you a high five next time I see you. Yeah, guys. Allow yourself to be seen and heard. And I'm going to keep trying to do that for myself and create a space for others as well. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Life is meant to be experienced, and curiosity will get you there.
On that.
What did you say?
I want to play on that.
Did you just come into my room? This is why it's hard to work, right?
Bye.
Bye.
It's your pillow, Dad.
Get your Play-Doh?
Want to see that?
You want me to play with you?
Yeah.
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 Okay. This is why it gets hard to get anything done, because nothing's more important than this. But then, if I don't keep watering Team Hoot, if I don't keep watering this mental health thing, if I don't keep watering Owl Media, it's gonna die.
Oh, come on. Can you see? My help there. What's that?
It's your Play-Doh you brought in here.
Want to come?
Yeah, I do want to come. Should I put work on hold?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Say hi.
Hi.
Guess what?
I love you.
I love you more. Okay, bye.